year. So Amanda, let's start off with kind of strength training in the off season. Right now, as I call it, off season is cold. A lot of training either just finished or it is starting maybe in the new year, January, late December, depending on when the goal race is. As we just finished our calendar year, is there some time we should be resting instead of strength training? How long should we wait after a goal race? Should we start strength training again?
So I think depending on the distance of the race and sort of how long you had a season will kind of dictate how long you should rest for. It's really important after putting in a lot of miles and doing workouts and just having the mental stress of training to kind of give yourself a few weeks, even a month of just running easy, running when you feel like it, running with friends, and not having any sort of schedule to adhere to. And I think, at least 2 weeks between goal race and sort of getting back into some easy running and then starting with maybe some body weight strength and then ramping up. But you really want to make sure, if you've run a marathon, there's nothing super stressful you have to do to your body for at least 3 or 4 weeks. Just if you consider you've been training 16, 20 weeks, and then you have this one big event. So it's really only fair to your legs and the rest of your body to take some time before you really, start picking up heavy things, start adding miles, start signing up for new races, just to make sure that your body's ready for it.
I love that. No, I love the downtime. As coach, we always say, about a mile, every mile you race is about a day recovery. So those marathon runners, like you said, it's about a month of relaxing, easy runs, which includes strength training. You don't want to do any heavy lifting for that month after your race. And if you just said maybe Philly, that you're still in that month window of relaxing.
Definitely.
Let's talk about kind of go ahead, please. Expand.
Sorry, jumping into it too soon, your body's just you're not going to get the same gains out of it. You don't really adapt as well. So really, even if you're itching to get out there or get into the gym and do something, if your race was only 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, it's just not worth it's not worth potential injury to kind of get yourself out there too soon.
Totally. I love it. I want to jump into kind of strength training work. Is there are there better workouts to do, while you're training for a race or in a training block during the off season? Maybe off season, I'm thinking heavier weights, maybe compared to training season, or not. What's your take on that?
Definitely. In terms of kind of a complete package of being able to train for running and be healthy enough to do that involves some strength training, but you sort of have to prioritize what's coming up first. So if you have a goal race that you're running and you go into the gym the day before a track workout and you're very, very sore, your track workout is going to suffer. And the running race is more the purpose for why you were even in the gym. So it's important to kind of consider, and we periodize training so that, at this time of off season, when you might not have a race to run until, let's just say, May or June, you can kind of afford to do a little bit more safely and with guidance, where you might be sore for a day or two and you might only feel like running 3 miles the day after, and they might be very slow, and that's fine, because at this time your priority is getting strong again, not getting fast, not building endurance and logging miles. Whereas during more of the running season, the workouts are more important. You have long runs to fulfill and guided coaching on kind of what comes next. And if runners, we're all our own worst enemy, but if you step into a gym and get excited and try something new, and it can really not even cause injury, but just tweak something and make running uncomfortable for a few days. So it's just kind of important to look at the calendar and decide, can I sacrifice some running now to get strong, even if that means being sore? Or should I stick with body weight and light things because running is really my priority?
And that brought me into my next question for you, Amanda. So the best way is maybe a new runner or someone new maybe to strength training. What can you give us tips as the best way to stay injury free during the strength training days? Are there things they should do, shouldn't do, and how should they perform those safely?
So the most important thing in running is to consider that you're never on 2 feet at the same time. So when you take that into the gym, you really want to make sure you're training your left side and training your right side. So It might not involve quite as many exercises because you have things to perform on your left and your right, working on balance and just making sure that you're strong and stable through one leg individually, just like we do in running. So I think considering that first off, and then it's always good to, there's a lot of content, through New York Road Runners, through running magazines, through, a lot of the professional runners have given us all good insight into what they're doing in terms of band work and, lunges and squatting and putting their own videos out there to kind of show you what the pros are doing in the gym. So it's always, I think, a good idea to have a plan and not just walk into your local gym and not know what you're doing and get on every machine possible. Maybe jot some things down, ask a professional. There are always people in a gym who are certified at whatever tier of personal training to kind of point you in the right direction. There are specific strength for runners classes. So I think, just kind of investigating a little bit beforehand, maybe give yourself a week or two to make your own strength plan is a good idea. It's always, physical therapists are always helpful. We're always willing to answer questions, whether you have an injury or need skilled rehab or not, even if it's just reaching out to say, hey, is this a good exercise? Most of us love to talk about exercise, and we certainly will. So.
Exercise and running is what we talk about best. I love it. We got some great shout outs here, some great shout outs and a few questions I want to get to. And guys, if you have questions that come up or a shout out, let us know. I want to hear from you. So Jassy says, hi, we have Alejandro from Argentina. Thank you so much for watching us so far away. Yolande says, hi, Steve, I see you. Fauchundo, I'm sorry, pronouncing your name incorrectly, is from Argentina. Melanie, her 2022 goals, half at the end of February, 1 or 2 fulls. Underlying goal is to get back into a groove after injury, surgery, the pandemic, working from home, etc., which I think is a common goal for a lot of people. Things are opening up now. Races are happening at larger scales than they were last year. So trying to find that new normal again that we found earlier this year. Steven says, hello from Pennsylvania, USA. Mercedes, hello from Queens, looking for a stronger 2022. Working on getting stronger by incorporating strength training more into my exercise plans. Planning to sign up for races in new cities, hoping that by doing this, it'll keep me motivated and getting stronger for the end of the year marathon. It will be my first live NYC marathon, and I'm super excited. I like Mercedes' message because she has a lot of goals in here, and also really focusing on that strength training. With her comment, Amanda, are there things that a new strength training person, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are the go-to strength trainings for new first-time strength training people looking to stay healthy in this year?
I mean, you always want to start with body weight. I think we all get excited. We want to get strong really fast. It takes about 8 weeks to actually build strength. So, not going into it thinking it's just going to be a couple of days and you can ignore it for a while. I think as runners, we really love to run, and we only love to run. And we have to kind of find that sweet spot of sharing our love of activity with the gym and with strength training. So just kind of being aware that it is a process, just like building endurance. And I really think the best thing anybody can do if you have no idea what you're doing in a gym is to ask for professional help. Even if it's like a one-off consultation with a trainer, just something so someone else can tell you, where to head and what to do. Just the same way that we seek running coaching, because not everybody knows how to structure a running week and how to build your long runs. It's really the same thing in the gym. And once you kind of get the hang of it and get your feet wet, I think we can all do it on our own. But asking for guidance right off the bat, especially everyone's body is different. Everyone's injury history is different. Everyone's, free time for doing these things is different. So one program doesn't necessarily fit everyone.
Love that. And then we have Denise says, hi from New Jersey, which is where I am. Thanks for watching, New Jersey. Ran the New York City Marathon this year and PR'd by about 25 minutes. That's awesome. Thanks to the training and no injuries. Goal for 2022 is to get back to to more starting lines, including the New York City Marathon. Again, sorry, I read that a little wrong the first time. So getting more starting lines this year, which is great. Motivation, sign up for a lot of races. Now, I always say you can sign up for a lot of races. You don't have to race them all. They could be training runs. They can be easy runs. They could be runs with a friend. If that goal is to, more starting lines and what you did last year, maybe you did 5 races, this year 7 or 9. And listen to your body, and those don't have to be all A effort goals or A effort races. It could be a half marathon at your long run pace, or a little slow with a friend, run walk with a friend, catch up with someone for a while. So keep your body in check with more races, and you're not doing too much, too fast, too soon. And our last shout out comes from Lauren Hildebrand. She says, hi, Steve. Hi, Lauren. I know Lauren. She's part of my running club here in New Jersey. So thank you for watching all the way from about 2 blocks away from me. 2 questions. First one, Dawn asks, I have a question. My husband has been trying to register for the NYC half, but keeps getting an error at the checkout. Can someone look into his account and fix it? Been trying to contact someone since 11/19 with no response. Great question, Dawn. So I definitely apologize for the issue your husband is having. I know our runner service team is a little backed up with all marathon and NYC half emails coming through, but be patient, please. Be patient that they will get to your message and they will look into your account. I just want to address your question. I see it. I will also notify the runner service team that you are looking for a response as well. It's been a while, but like I said, they are a little behind as we just had one of the biggest marathons. And then with the half opening up as well, a lot of stuff going on there, but they are a team that's working almost around the clock to answer all of the runner questions. So thank you, Dawn, so much for your question. And then Jess asked a question. This is kind of for you, Amanda. Any tips for a runner coming back from spine surgery? I'm cleared to start training again, but I feel like I can't get over the hump of running more than 2 miles, and my stamina and endurance just aren't there, or just aren't what they used to be prior to surgery.
I mean, I'm always an advocate for physical therapy on these things. And especially if you've had surgery, I hope that, you have done a course of formal PT, just because surgery is invasive and it takes time to recover from. And it's always good to kind of put that recovery in the hands of a professional to make sure that you're doing all the right things. So there's not a statute of limitations on these things. So if surgery was even 6 months or a year ago and you're still having difficulty kind of getting over that, just getting back into what you want to do, that's where skilled rehab really does come into play. And I think, not forcing it is always something that we, look for as a line. If your body's shutting down after a few miles, there's a reason why. And that's definitely when it's a good idea to seek help and guidance in the process, because you will come back. It just takes time and might take another person or two in your corner.
Great question, Jess. So let's go back kind of to resting between major races. Now, runners, if you have more questions, please put those in the chats. I also am still looking for some more 2022 goals out there. So let us know what your goals are for 2022. And we will come back to you guys. And once again, shout outs where you're watching from, questions, let us know. Resting between major races. Now, major, I'm saying big half marathon someone did that full effort, major marathons that just happened in the spring. So major races that put a toll on your body. And in between major races, a fall major race and a spring major race. So a lot of runners, as we know, just finished the TCS New York City Marathon or other, Chicago Marathon, Philadelphia Marathon. What is the best strategy during the winters they could do to come back strong in the spring for these runners?
I mean, taking significant time away from running is always a good idea when you've put in a long season. Kind of finding a form of cross training that you somewhat enjoy. I know, again, we all really only love running, but there are other things that you can do for cardiovascular fitness that doesn't have the same kind of pounding that running does. Whether that be swimming, whether it be elliptical, whether it be stationary bike, finding something like that to kind of make you sweat, and then always adding that strength training is really going to be key. It doesn't necessarily have to be more than 2 days a week. So after significant downtime, I think before you jump into training, when your race is, let's say, 3 months away, 4 months away, you don't necessarily need that high volume yet, but you're looking for something to do. Kind of find something other than running. It's really good to use our other muscles and use muscles in different directions than running allows.
You mentioned, swimming and ellipticals. Are there a certain amount of time we should be on those machines or in the pool compared to running? So, we're used to maybe, I know my 4-mile run takes me 40 minutes. Should I equate that to on the elliptical a certain amount of time so I have a gauge of what my workout is going to be?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's different for everyone in terms of like rate of perceived exertion, how much you're putting in and how much you're getting out. It was once, a great running coach I've worked with in the past once told me that, 10 minutes of swimming or pool running or elliptical is kind of equivalent to 1 road mile if you really are looking to get that equivalent in mileage. I think, anything from 30 to 45 minutes doing something that's maybe not quite conversational pace, but feels a little bit harder maybe, but you still have words and you're not totally breathless, is always a kind of a good setting for yourself. But there's not really, I mean, the best way to train for running is to run. This is just fact. But in the off season, I don't think anyone really has to worry about that. A lot of it is just for us all to keep sane when we have to take rest, because running is really hard on our bodies. So if you really hate the elliptical and you can only do it for 10 minutes, it's still better than no minutes. If you love it, I don't necessarily think ellipticaling for 2 hours is the smartest choice, just in terms of boredom and repetition of motion. But if that's what gets you through your week, it's not necessarily detrimental, but I wouldn't think about it as more helpful to your running, if that makes sense.
I will say I love when a PT tells me just to run because it's good. Like, I've had a lot of PTs in the past when I'm injured and they say, don't run. It's not good for you. But I love that Amanda's like, you love running, go do it. It's the best thing you could do. And only elliptical for 30, 45 minutes when you're healthy, because you get bored doing it. The runner's mindset because you're a runner. And I love that so much. It's honest. It's so honest.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like a do as I say, not as I do. But I really love running. I totally get that. But to me, if running hurts, if something doesn't feel good, if you just had this major running accomplishment, like, those are all indications to take a break. Sometimes that means the elliptical. I really don't love the elliptical. I actively avoid it. But if you really feel like you have to do something, that's all you have, go to town. It's not necessarily going to make or break your race. So I would hate for off-season runners to think like, I have to do something every day. You really don't. Like, our season is really it's a grind, no matter what distance of a race you're running, just in terms of getting out the door every day and following a plan, whether it's, running, walking, strength training. So just having that time to kind of decompress from it is really important.
So are there ways when we run these big races, to the marathon and big half marathons, we get those aches and pains along the course or afterwards? Are there ways to avoid those during the race and afterwards, or that just kind of come with the territory because you're doing 4 hours of running or whatever the time is with the distance?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we have a formula of following a long run plan. Just getting your body to adapt to that much time on your feet is really important in the longer distance races. And ideally, it's kind of a dress rehearsal for your race day, so that if let's just say you're running a 10-mile race and you've only run 5 miles, well, like, what happens to your body at mile 7? You won't know that if you don't kind of have some distance there in training, just to see, are there areas that you need to work on? Do you have a hot spot? Do you get a blister? Do you need to find different socks or shoes? So that's where the training really comes into play. But generally there is some aching, there is some cramping is often more nutrition, from a nutrition standpoint. But running is very stressful on the body, and after really long races, like after New York, if nothing hurts on your body, I really want to know what you were doing during training, because that's a very big goal. If nothing hurts, something's bound to bother you.
Comes with the territory. I love that. It's like a battle scar, they say.
Exactly.
We have one last follow-up and a shout out. So a follow-up from our question earlier, which I tossed to you, from Jess. She's also in PT, which you recommended. So it's great to see that she's also doing physical therapy right now to adjust that back. And then a last final shout out, guys. We have Jeffrey says, happy holiday season, New York Roadrunners working staff, coming to you from Mickey Mouse Town in Orlando, Florida, which is great. I bet it's nice and warm there because it's very cold here. So thank you, Jeffrey, for your final shout out. And thank you to everyone who joined our show today. Amanda, any final words for runners during this off season, what they should be focusing on or not focusing on as we wind down the 2021 calendar?
I think, the off season falls at a good time. It's holidays, it's cold, like take advantage of that and enjoy it and get out there when you want to. But if you're not motivated to do it, the rest will only help you come spring and fall seasons. And if you have questions and need guidance in terms of strength training, never hesitate to ask a professional just to set yourself up for success in the gym.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much for joining in the questions. We'll see you next time. Thank you.